go interactive with
Rayanne. 3 years ago, Brian Godfrey traveled from Vancouver Island to St. John's, Newfoundland. And I guess you couldn't get enough of cycling because you decided to do another trip this May. So
That's correct.
Where did you travel this time?
Well, this time, two of my buddies and myself went from Vancouver. We flew up to Whitehorse in the Yukon, and we left on the 13th of May to get up there. We started cycling from there to back to Nanaimo, and that took us 22 days of riding. Most people don't get a chance to cycle with family members on a big trip like this, so I was pretty excited when my son Stephen joined me, and we'd actually had a burger and beer a couple days earlier here for the fundraiser.
Yeah.
And that was really good. So he came up for the fundraiser and then rode with me back down to Victoria, and then I was on my own heading into Washington State. My wife and his girlfriend delivered him down to Arcata, which is near Eureka. And from there, the two of us rode down to Tijuana, the border there with Mexico.
So my longest bike ride is probably 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. So What is it like spending all day cycling? And I know you had your journal here where there was one time your trip was supposed to be like 99 kilometers and it was like 173 that day. So
you're exposing my mistake?
Yeah. But cycling for 173 kilometers, like that must have been quite a day.
Yeah, well, they call a century ride is 100 miles, so 160 kilometers. And when I went across Canada, I ended up doing 9 century rides, and this trip, I only did the one with Stephen at 173.
And when you did this trip, you blogged about it. You wrote it in your journal first, and then you blogged about it online.
Yeah.
What is the best moment from this trip, you would say?
I honestly can't say that I have a single one. The contrast from northern British Columbia to the crowded beaches of California, there was all sorts of really neat spots. The Redwoods, there was one place, Elk Prairie it's called, in the Redwood Forest, was just phenomenal. I was on my own. It was the day before I met up with the rest of the family, and you end up going up this hill. And it's near the end of the day, and so you're finding it a bit of a grind to move your bike and gear. It comes up to over 100 pounds. And I got up to the top of this thing, and then I just got to coast through the Redwood Forest. It was quiet, no traffic. I'm not on the highway, I'm on a secondary road, and just coast for like 10-15 minutes down through these giant trees to the campground. And that was definitely one of my big highlights of the trip. Up in the north, it was just the fact that there was just so remote, and there was nothing but mountains with snow, and it was incredible. But it was just a totally different feel. And
what is it like traveling by bike instead of flying off to a destination or jumping in a car and driving?
Well, when I went across Canada, we noticed a particular bird that had a call, and as we went across from province to province, there'd be a slight variation. Well, if you're in a car, you've got music playing, you're talking, you would never have heard that bird. So we definitely, my son's right into all that kind of stuff, and he would say, oh, that's a thrush, that's a this, that's a that. He knows all the different birds, and so the sounds, the sights and sounds, you can stop anywhere you want to take a picture. You can smell the flowers, it's pretty neat. You look around and see where is it coming from. If you're in a car, you'd miss that. So that's certainly a bunch of it.
Yeah. But when you're in a car, the car kind of carries all your gear. You don't have that extra weight weighing you down, where when you're on a bike you were carrying over 100 pounds of camping gear. So how was that?
It's a sense of accomplishment. It's sort of like when you're doing a race and you get to the finish line. When you get to the finish line on this kind of a trip, it's almost anticlimactic. It's the fact that you're actually able to do it. So you have to train for it, build up your muscles, you build up your sit bones to get used to sitting on your bike for that long. It's great.
And if people are watching this wondering why we're talking about this trip, what did you do this all for?
I have my own personal goals of wanting to, to try to stay fit and see the sights, but I always try to join in a cause, and near and dear to my heart, and I work at RE/MAX, and it's been the BC Children's Hospital, which is Children's Miracle Network. And so anytime that I'm doing this, we're doing a fundraising at the same time. And this time we'll raise very close to $10,000.
For those that want to learn kind of the mishaps and the adventures of your trip, where can they go?
The easiest thing they can do is to go to that remax of Nanaimo.com, and they have a homepage, and they'll see that cyclists little on the homepage, and if they click on the logo, they can go into the blog.
Awesome. So I guess viewers at home, you can check out the blog, and I guess we'll just keep posted for your next adventure.
You bet.